Lori McNeill. How long have we known each other now, Lori? It's what, about 5, 10? I don't know how. It seems like I've known you forever.
To tell you the truth, Ron, I think we've actually known each other for about 5 years because it goes back to when we both knew each other through another organization, and then in the consulting capacity now, I would say for 3 years.
Yes, that's right. That's terrific. Well, tell us a little bit about your background and what it was or what experience you've had that got you to becoming a part of Price Associates.
So I'll tell you, one big part of my career was in the corporate world. I worked at a Fortune 100 company, a little pharmaceutical, a lot of people may have heard about, called Pfizer. And I was here for a number of years in a variety of roles. So total, I would say it was 13 years that I was at the organization. And one of my favorite jobs there was in the training department, leadership development. And I just loved being able to have a part to help people grow and flourish, to become the best they could in their executive roles and leadership training. All of that was just so much fun, and I really loved it. But then I also did a variety of other roles with management, marketing, and the last role I had there was in global operations. Loved that role. It was so much fun looking at it from the business side of things. And like I said, working in that global capacity around the world and just really helping the business process. And so when I eventually made the transition to go into consulting, what I wanted to do was look back at where I had my passion, and that was from that training and development and leadership development to really hone in from that experience and the joy that I had and the passion, but then tie that in from the operational perspective on the business side, because I had that in-depth knowledge of the corporations, the challenges they faced, and that ultimately led me to doing the consulting. And then my areas of passion and focus that I have right now have been two key areas, and it came from my earlier career. One is around change management. And that really comes from the fact that being in that organization, Ron, I can't even begin to tell you how much change I saw take place. There were mergers and acquisitions and restructuring, and it seemed like every 18 months, 2 years at the most, there would be another massive change. And what I saw time and time again was the disruption that came about. I could work in an office and watch people side by side that had been fantastic colleagues, friends, and have a really good working relationship. And then all of a sudden, the dynamic would completely change. Mm-hmm. Part of that comes from me looking at it from a psychology perspective, because I saw that security became threatened. They didn't feel that security anymore. They also started feeling that sense of not understanding where they belonged within the organization, within their role, and so forth. And so watching that happen again and again and again, that really started my focus then on trying to solve that problem of looking to see how companies could make that a seamless transition for the organization and the people that work there.
Yeah, so, and as a part of that, you did your master's work at Harvard in psychology.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about what was impactful about that for you and how you use that in your work.
Oh, goodness, Ron. See all these books behind me? A lot of this comes from the readings that I had to do in my time doing those studies. And a matter of fact, I have this section here that you can see that's really focused around change. This other section right here that's around women's leadership and development, because that's my second pillar. That's a big passion of mine. But to answer your question, how that played into it, it was the fact that I started understanding more about the psychology concepts and frameworks that really make sense of change and why it can be challenging for individuals and organizations. You know, I think about it through Maslow's hierarchy of needs and how there's this pyramid, and a lot of times companies might have that vision, which is really, to me, the very epitome of that pyramid, because they're thinking about what they ultimately want to achieve. But then you've got the people aspect of it that's challenged at the bottom part of the pyramid because they can't get up to the top part until those other needs are satisfied.
So that's survival and then safety. And eventually we get to self-actualization. But if you don't have these lower parts of the pyramid, you're not connecting with people, just talking about what's happening up top.
That's exactly right. And so that's one of the problems that I help companies solve, is to try to understand what that gap is and help them work to close that gap for the people in their organization. So then that way it can be a much more seamless process. And the other psychology aspect of this is also around the stages of grief, because that's something that I think plays a really important factor when it comes to change, and understanding that people do it at different paces. You know, someone might experience it and they feel this deep sense of loss. Maybe that's because it was part of their identity. And so they're going through some of those different stages, and it's helping the organizations understand that people move in a different pace overall. So what can they do? It's not linear, and people might even cycle through that. And so that's part of what I'm doing to help them with that problem.
Yeah, and so you've done a lot of work with us in the area of executive coaching.
Yes.
Both men and women in all different styles. You've done a lot of work as a facilitator of some of our leadership development programs and programs around innovation. And then you've served as a subject matter expert in these two areas in particular: change, managing change, and then women in leadership. So I know those are a lot of the places where people have given us a lot of great feedback about how you've contributed. So what about when you're not working? Do you have any special interests that you could share with us about?
I do. I have a lot of interest, but I will say that you knowing how I fall into the Trimetrics HD in regards to my altruistic and my selfless as far as my driving forces, that's something that speaks volumes in my professional life, but then also in my personal life. I just have this innate desire to want to solve problems, to be able to help people. And for the altruistic side, what I really love doing is volunteering. And I like to look for groups in particular that might otherwise be overlooked. And a very special place in my heart has been with seniors. And I have a lot of my time and energy that's been focused on nursing homes and assisted living facilities, leading volunteer efforts, particularly back in my home state of North Carolina. I do have some very close ties, all my family still back there, and I just really love partnering with those organizations around the holidays, and then throughout other times of the year to help them make it a special place.
Yeah, and I've been able to watch how creative you can be in working to solve a problem that exists. As somebody who is now recognized as a senior myself, I'm particularly glad that you are concerned about our well-being. So, Lori, really great to have this conversation, and we're really happy to have you as part of the Price Associates team.
Thank you, Ron. It's my pleasure.